Last night, the city of Santa Monica approved a settlement of more than $120 million in a sexual abuse case involving one man at the Santa Monica Police Activities League.
The attorney for some of the victims, Brian Claypool, said this was preventable if police had done the right thing.
These were young boys who had their childhood robbed by a sexual predator named Eric Uller, who was aided and abetted by members of the Santa Monica Police Department.
Eric Uller, here he is, was charged with lewd acts on a child, but took his own life before the case ever went to trial. Joining us is attorney for some of Uller's victims. You just saw him there, Brian Claypool. Brian, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Now, all of this happened decades ago, but it spanned more than a decade. What happened, and what is the city of Santa Monica admitting to?
Hey, Marla and Ellis, great to be back with you. Just so your audience is clear, even though this settlement was for $122,500,000, there was a previous payment of another $102 million by the city of Santa Monica. So over the last 3 years, the city of Santa Monica has paid close to $230 million to settle claims of these adults who were abused as kids. Now, how can something like this happen? That's a great question. This is a catastrophic failure of the city to monitor a youth program that had underserved kids who were vulnerable. Marla, this was not a case of a doctor in a dark office with a patient with the door closed, or a teacher in a room where everything's closed off, assaulting somebody. This was a case of a city employee, Uller, who was an IT director at the city, who would show up every day at the PAL program dressed like an undercover police officer. He had a polo shirt on with Santa Monica on it. He wore a police badge. He walked around with a canine dog. He drove an undercover police car, an SUV, and then recruited kids to take them out to eat, and then went and molested them. Anybody paying attention at that PAL program should have confronted him and said, why are you acting and being an imposter of a police officer? It's just inexcusable.
So it's now 2023. He killed himself back in 2018. A lot of this happened in the late 90s. Why are we just hearing about this now, just dealing with this now?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. There were multiple reports, Alex, in the 1990s and early 2000s of Uller. So let's make that clear, that the city knew about prior reports of Uller, and they didn't do anything. And that's what I'm calling for. I think we should have another outside investigation to find out why nothing was done. Because mandated reporters reported it, city didn't investigate it, and in fact, this guy, Uller, gets the Employee of the Year award in 2002 and gets a standing ovation. The writing was on the wall the entire time. And we need to see new measures put in place by the city to protect these kids. And I'm calling for a state legislator to contact me. Let's get a new law in place, Alex, a law that says that anybody in upper management at a city, at a school, after-school program, or university who knows or should know that an employee is committing sexual abuse on a minor, that they too should be prosecuted for child endangerment. Maybe we'll make some progress then in stopping this from happening again.
Yeah, similar to basically what happened with police officers after we saw with George Floyd, that now if police officers don't do anything, they're standing by and watching it, they themselves can be prosecuted, Marla.
So, Brian, we did reach out to the city of Santa Monica. They did send us a statement. They call this a sad part of their city's history. It's a lengthy statement. Here's a portion of it. It reads, "We have demonstrated our vigilance by implementing best practices and strict policies across city programs, including creating a child protection committee and establishing a child protection officer to oversee implementation of child abuse prevention measures." What is your response to what you've just heard?
Well, a little late to start with, number one. And number two, have the city tell you and your audience what specific changes they have made to protect kids in an after-school or youth program like that. By that, I mean the following. Did they set up an anonymous hotline? Have they done that? because I have a client that confronted 2 police officers in the 1990s and said, "Why are you letting Eric Uller do this to boys at Powell?" And you know what that cop said to him? "I'm going to kick you out of the program." So we need an anonymous hotline set up for these kids. We need better supervision of employees and volunteers at youth programs like this. What have they done to improve that? What have they done to vet volunteers and current employees? These are the things that we need to see changed, and I'd like to see something specific as to the PAL program.
And real quickly, like 30 seconds, how are your clients reacting to this settlement?
Yeah, Alex, it's a mixed bag. These young men, and I have a few girls too that were raped by Eric Uller. On one hand, they need the money to move forward with their lives, so the money does help in some respects to give them some sense of stability. On the other hand, I will tell the both of you that most of my clients, their lives have been fractured. They're still suffering from anxiety, trauma. Some had suicidal tendencies after this case unfolded, and they had to meet with lawyers for the city. And look, their lives have been ruined to a certain extent. They didn't fulfill their dreams. They have relationship problems. Some have issues even with sexual identity. So the scars from something like this as a child stay with you for life.
We're sorry to hear that. All right, so the city of Santa Monica paying out, as you said, more than $230 million in the last 3 years to more than 100 victims. Brian Claypool, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Marla.